I call this meeting of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our first item of business is roll call.
Adams.
Here.
Akers. Here. Albers.
Here.
Andres.
Here.
Archer.
Here.
Arnaldi.
Here.
Bergston.
Here.
Maybe. Bogner.
Here.
Bowler. Here. Breen. Bickerud.
Here.
Cafera.
Here.
Dynas.
Here.
De Moranville.
Here.
Dahl.
Here.
Elliott. Flores.
Here.
Fuller.
Here.
Garcia. Garrity.
Here.
Grandy.
Here.
Hendrickson.
Here.
Hyen.
Here.
Hughes. Jackson. Jewell.
Here.
Kallenberger.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
Kidd. Klein.
Here.
Lonker.
Here.
Maples.
Here.
Markle.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
McDermott.
Here.
McIntyre. Mertens.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Nichols.
Here.
Niedery.
Here.
Nordstrom.
Here.
Ogren.
Here.
Orth.
Here.
Oxler. Penny. Papoon.
Here.
Pitts.
Here.
Pruitt.
Here.
Renz. Rostampour.
Here.
Swanson.
Here.
Tidrow.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Tuttle.
Here.
Valdez.
Here.
Wishop. Works.
Here.
Zwick. There are 46 senators present for roll call. Interns. Bothwell.
Here.
Carpenter.
Here.
Cruz.
Here.
Dahl.
Here.
Gammon. Grover.
Here.
Hornung.
Here.
Horton.
Here.
Hoskinson.
Here.
Houghton.
Here.
Drabin.
Here.
Caccelli.
Here.
Caramelli.
Here.
Karanja.
Here.
Kellerman.
Here.
King.
Here.
McAdam. Malmberg.
Here.
McCandless. Meinhardt.
Here.
Pecker.
Here.
Pelton.
Here.
Putnam.
Here.
Roth. Rodriguez. Savarino.
Here.
Schau. Shumlin.
Here.
Wheeler. Whitmer.
Here.
Witzke.
Here.
Zadrick. And there are 27 interns present for roll call.
Alrighty, with that we'll move into first open period. Our first open period speaker is Peter Dorhout, Vice President for Research.
If I may, I'm just going to take this and wander around once I turn it on. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. They are out there. I heard the roll call. My name is Peter Dorhout, as I was introduced. I'm the Vice President for Research, and it's a real pleasure to be with you today. I wanted to spend just a moment introducing myself a little bit so you get to know who I am. I came to Kansas State University just about 6 years ago to be the Dean of Arts and Sciences, and then roughly 2 years ago, I transitioned into this role as Vice President for Research. I came to K-State from another great land-grant university, Colorado State University, where I had been a faculty member of chemistry for 20 years. Prior to that, I worked with Los Alamos National Laboratory. I was involved in the underground nuclear test program, and the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty encouraged me to change jobs, so I went into academics. I maintained a relationship with Los Alamos National Laboratory, and over the years, I've placed a number of graduate students, undergraduate students, and postdocs into the Department of Energy nuclear research programs throughout the United States. One of the most enjoyable aspects of being a faculty member for me, however, was teaching general chemistry. One of the things that I did when I was a general chemistry teacher was I taught a classroom roughly double this size, pretty close to 300 students. And one of the most enjoyable aspects of teaching that program was actually sharing the joys of the research that we were doing at the university and in our department with the students. But really, it was doing demonstrations. I loved doing demonstrations and showing students just what science was all about, what chemistry was all about. I was convinced, however, that students were showing up to my class first thing in the morning because there was a real probability that I might kill myself in front of everybody, blowing myself up with one of those demonstrations, and they all wanted to be there and see it. The other thing that I enjoyed so much about that process was in the back row sat all of my teaching assistants, and whenever I'd run a demonstration, they would hold up sheets of paper with numbers on them, scoring me. So I've really been rated for most of my life in terms of my performance, and so I hope tonight that I'm able to also get high marks from your points of view about a journey through research. So I wanted to just share a few things with you. First of all, K-State has had a long tradition of engaging in research. It goes back to the beginning, the land-grant heritage, where we were asked, as we formed, to perform research that we could then take out to the people of the state of Kansas that would improve their livelihoods, change what they were experiencing, improve their economic situations, and improve their personal standings. It's been something we've been doing for well over 150 years, and it's part of our proud land-grant heritage, just as you are part of our land-grant heritage. What do we mean by doing research? Well, here's a sort of a canned definition up here, but essentially, it's an exploration into a particular topic. It's a question that you ask about something that you've learned. It's a question that you've wondered about in terms of how can you change the world? How can you make a difference in what's happening in your particular discipline? And it's a passion that I believe every one of our faculty members shares and would love to also share with you if you're interested or your friends and colleagues are interested in engaging the research enterprise. And you as undergraduate students and certainly graduate students in the room can and probably are already involved in the research enterprise here at Kansas State University. It's also an expectation of our faculty. We want the very best faculty to be in the classrooms, to be in the studios, to be in the laboratories in front of you, helping to educate you, helping to guide you through your path of learning here at the university. We want them to be the very best. We want them to be at the cutting edge of their disciplines so that you're learning about the cutting edge of the disciplines. That makes you more competitive on the job market. So every faculty member here is engaged in some form of research or scholarship. And we use this term, research, scholarly and creative activity, and discovery, to be as inclusive as we can in this enterprise. We want all of the faculty to feel as though they are participating in this and they are part of that great land-grant heritage that goes back to 1863. Some examples that I have up here, and many of you who might be involved in research may be involved in one of these topics. These are the kinds of problems that we are working on now, or have been working on for quite some time, and are making a difference in the economy of the state, the region, and our nation. So who pays for it? Well, taxpayers, primarily. The federal government will provide grants to our faculty, staff, and students who are performing research. And those research dollars are invested in their explorations, leveraged, creating new knowledge, and ultimately, we hope they become engaged in the technology transfer process, which is also part of my shop. We also participate in research explorations with industry. We are very interested in, again, taking that new knowledge, the new things that we are creating, and adding value to our industry partners, helping to create jobs for the next generations of Kansans through our interactions with industry. And foundations. There are private foundations that will fund research in a wide variety of disciplines. And so partnering with private foundations, and some of those are the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Keck Foundation, and others that have provided resources for us here at Kansas State University. This is my shop. This is a view of the roughly 140 people who work under my umbrella of the research enterprise. The Office of Sponsored Research and Office of Research and Sponsored Program, is an organization that helps faculty, students, and staff submit grant proposals to the various funding agencies, and they are partnering with the pre-award services. Pre-award services enables us to ensure that the contracts and the grants that are coming in the door are managed and monitored appropriately and according to federal, state laws, as well as the policies of the private foundations and the industry partners that we have. Research compliance is a big part of my operation. And research compliance partners with environmental health and safety to ensure that our laboratories and studios, the field offices, are all within compliance and operating under safe conditions. If you don't already know, as a chemist, I am a huge advocate for safety in the chemical enterprise. It's part of, and safety is critical, by the way, to ensuring that there's public trust in what we do. And so you will, no doubt, see in one of my newsletters some kind of rant about people being safe. October is Biosafety Month, so if you're involved in biology, biochemistry, or any of the life sciences and doing research, make sure that you're up to speed on what the safety protocols are for the laboratories in which you're working. It's Biosafety Month, after all. We work also in close partnership with the K-State Foundation and the K-State University Research Foundation. Both of those organizations help us reach out to alumni, industry partners, private foundations, again, to support the operations in the research enterprise, as well as enable technology transfer. So the patents and the licensing that we hold at Kansas State University on behalf of the faculty and the students who've been engaged in those enterprises are part of our responsibility as well. Why does research matter? Well, as I told you, it's part of our heritage as a land-grant university. But research matters because it drives innovation and economic success for our region, for our state, for this particular enterprise. Okay. Certainly none for me, but it won't take that long. The other aspect of research that folks don't often think about is that it provides an important training opportunity for undergraduate students and graduate students. Not only is it an introduction to what's new in your discipline, but it also gives you a leg up when it comes to finding that first job, launching your careers, getting into graduate school or medical school, having worked on a problem for which there really is no right answer, for which there is not a known solution, can be often challenging. Undergraduate research in particular gives you the opportunity to try something in an unfettered environment, in an area where you can explore a question and you might fail. You might actually not solve the problem you're working on. You might actually not answer the question you've asked. But rather you fail in this setting and learn from it and grow from it than have that occur on your first job. So it's an opportunity to explore in a safe environment where you have a chance to fail and learn from that failure and help you grow as a professional from that. A couple of recent highlights from the last few years. We've been working on what's called a Global Food Systems program here at Kansas State University, which is encompassing disciplines and research from across the institution, across our colleges: agriculture, human ecology, arts and sciences, engineering, business. Everyone's been involved in global food systems. Education, and educating students and families on proper nutrition. Global food systems is a very broad subject, and we have expertise in so many of those areas. You may have heard President Myers talk about the Silicon Valley of biodefense. And that was a title that was given to us by a blue ribbon panel on biosecurity and biodefense. It was looking at the growth of biodefense in our area, particularly with the new National Bioagro-Defense Facility that's being built just up the hill. It's also a reflection of the outstanding faculty and students that we have here at Kansas State University, and it's the reason why that laboratory is coming to Manhattan, Kansas. We also have one of the largest laboratories in the world. The Konza Prairie is nearly 9,000 acres of untouched, unplowed, unworked prairie, and it's a laboratory for us. We have an opportunity to study the impacts of the changing climate on the growth of plants all across the prairie, and how we graze cattle and how we graze bison, among others, and how those impact the ecology and the environment. And unmanned aerial systems is another new growth area for us. And it's not just happening at the Polytech campus. It's also happening here in our engineering programs, in agriculture, in sustainable and very much precision agriculture. And it's also connected directly with biosecurity and biosafety. And then lastly, we had a very large grant come in this year that was part of a team designed to really grow our psychological sciences program, focusing on the biomedical research around brain plasticity. Brain plasticity is particularly important to me because as an aging individual, actually we're all aging in this room, but as someone who's a little further advanced in his aging, I worry about my ability to continue to think and reason and ask questions. Brain plasticity is all about how our brain is dealing with the changes, physiological changes that we have going on throughout our lifetimes. This past year, we had the second highest award total of extramural funding that will ultimately translate in one of our highest research expenditures number once FY16 is in the books. We'll start worrying about FY17. And you're wondering, well, gee, aren't we in FY18? Don't you have all these data already compiled? These research expenditures actually have to go through an auditing process, and so until that is done, we don't have the quote final numbers yet. But you can see that there's been steady growth. My job as the Vice President for Research is to enable this growth to continue and accelerate over the course of the next few years. So how can you get involved as undergraduate students? The graduate students kind of already have the insight on how to do this in the room, but the undergraduate students, if you aren't already involved in undergraduate research, talk to a faculty member who may be teaching a class, or is your advisor or just a mentor in your program, and talk to them about what they're doing. See what kinds of questions they're asking. And if that's exciting to you, ask to get involved. You can connect with our Office of Undergraduate Research and Creative Inquiry. Several colleges, my former college, Arts and Sciences being one, have scholarship dollars that will support you while you're doing your undergraduate research project. So I encourage you to investigate that. And one last plug, and then I'll be happy to take questions. Science Communication Week is coming up in November, and I am very much interested in promoting this. Science communications is very important. I can tell you that if I'm sitting in an airplane and I want to get some work done and I want some quiet, when the person next to me says, "So, what do?" I tell them I'm a chemist. And the next 3 hours, it's completely quiet. But if I don't take that opportunity to talk a little bit about science with them, it's a missed opportunity. Now, they may continue to be quiet after that, but I want to be able to tell those stories. I want to be able to communicate the passion that I feel, and I hope the next person gets to feel, about a particular science question. But science communications is not always all that straightforward. How do you tell a story? How do you lure people in to the conversation? How do you get them excited about what it is that you've done? So Science Communications Week is going to spend that week with a variety of different workshops and activities. If you're interested in learning more about science communications, I encourage you to engage. I've got some flyers in the back with some information about the kinds of events that are happening during the week. And I also have just a few of our Seek magazine. You can find it scattered throughout Anderson Hall and various places around campus. This comes out 3 times a year, and it's where we highlight some of the great things that are going on at Kansas State University. So if you're interested in learning more, there are some of these in the back, and I invite you to take them. On your way out, if there are any left, Jack, would you mind gathering them up? I appreciate that. And if you want some more information, follow us on Twitter. We have the K-State RISCAD is our Twitter handle, or you can follow VPR, K-State VPR. I'm just trying to remember my Twitter handle. Learn more about us. I'm happy to address any other questions, and certainly looking at the parliamentarian to lead us in that, in terms of helping me keep on time. Thank you.
Are there any questions for VP Dorhout?
Ma'am.
Vice President Dorhout, I know that it was a focus for President Schultz to become a top 50 university by research. Where are we in that goal?
It is definitely something that we're still pursuing. As a top 50 public research university, I'm very much interested in making a difference in what we do. And making a difference will require that we really grow the enterprise. And grow the enterprise means involving students, undergraduate students and graduate students, in that research mission as well. I'm tracking all kinds of different metrics around what does a top 50 public research university look like. A lot of it has to do with things like the research expenditures. Very easy to measure, and everybody plays on the same field because this is all audited and we have to report this to the federal government. So that's an easy metric to be able to follow. Other metrics that are a little bit harder to follow are really faculty awards, student recognition, ensuring that we are just as competitive for our students as any other institution that is in that top 50 public category. So it's not just about the research dollar, it's about the quality of what we're doing and the value that we add to your educations by engaging you in that research enterprise. Sir. Very good question. My goal is to be a partner in the management of the operations of that laboratory. There are a number of examples of universities partnering with companies to manage laboratories and to be engaged very closely with the research enterprise. So University of Tennessee and Battelle manage Oak Ridge National Laboratory. University of California System manages Lawrence Livermore Laboratory, Los Alamos National Laboratory. There are a number of examples where that university laboratory partnership are really critical to the success of the research that's happening at NBAF and what we can offer to our students and our faculty. So as with, say, Oak Ridge and the University of Tennessee, staff members, staff scientists who are engaged in research at Oak Ridge have a part-time faculty appointment within the university. They have the opportunity to teach classes. They have the opportunity to mentor students. And they can do it at the university or they can do it at the National Laboratory. I see this as a great opportunity for our students who are interested in the realm of biodefense to have an opportunity to learn from some of the best scientists who are engaged at the facility, be partners in the research, and you may not necessarily have the opportunity to go back into the BSL-4 complex, but you can be trained to work in that complex ultimately, and that again gives you a leg up in terms of if that's what you'd like to do as a career path, there's a great opportunity there. So we're very interested in training the folks who will be working in that laboratory. But most of all, it's about the relationship with those scientists and having them at the university as part of our faculty. I think that's going to make a huge impact on our student experiences.
Further questions? Seeing none, let's give Vice President Dorhout a round of applause.
Thank you. All right. Thanks for the ratings.
With that, our next item of business is approval of the minutes. Is there a motion? Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Oh, is there another speaker for first open period? Yes. Come on up. Can you introduce yourself at the podium over there? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Morgan Crusoe.
Awesome. Are there any questions for the representatives from Alpha Kappa Psi? Thank you. Are there further speakers for first open period? Yep, come on up.
I was just going to stand. I wasn't going to walk around. I got plenty of exercise today. Okay, so I am actually here to speak to you all about something different than I spoke last time. The last time I was here was the night of the rally after all of the posters had been put on campus. So I'm here for a much better reason, but equally as important. And it's just voter registration and local elections. So it's not exactly the most riveting topic, but it is important to talk about. So if you'll just hear me out, I'll be done quick, I promise. So I'm sure many of you are already registered to vote somewhere. Since you're in Student Senate, I feel like you would believe in the importance of voting. But I just wanted to come and talk to you about registering to vote in Manhattan, because there is obviously some local elections this year that are also very important. And it's not a presidential election, but it is a very important city commission election this year. And I specifically just wanted to talk about how some of the candidates that are up for election or re-election have a really good kind of active idea about how to connect the community with the campus, whereas some of the other ones that are up for re-election do not. And I'm not going to name any names, so I'm just going to leave it at that some are very interested in helping the university with the community, and others are very opposed. But so to just get on with why I'm actually here is I encourage you to fill out the federal form for registering to vote, because that way if you're from out of state and you have an out-of-state driver's license, you can still vote in Manhattan for the local election, which some people do not know that, but I printed off a bunch of voter registration forms and I brought them, and I've been trying to get as many people to fill them out as I can because the voter registration deadline snuck up on me and I didn't have time to table. So I'm just speaking at every event I can until Tuesday, which is when the deadline is, by the way. So the reason that I think everyone should use the federal form is, one, you can vote if you're out of state, which is important since you are still here 9 months out of the year, and I understand if you don't want to have to go get a brand new driver's license and everything like that. But another reason that I think you should fill out the form is because I brought them today and I printed them off because I printed off plenty and I just kind of want to get rid of them. But so I brought a ton. I just, by a raise of hands, can anyone show me who is registered to vote in Manhattan? And then who is registered to vote back at home? And how many of you are out of state? Okay, so those out of state people, would you be interested in registering to vote in Manhattan to vote in the local election? Okay, so if anyone wants a form right now, you can fill it out. I'm gonna be here till the end. Raise your hand if you want a federal form right now, because she's gonna pass them out. And then if you aren't from out of state and you would also still like one, feel free to do that. And if you change your mind later, I'm gonna leave some at the front and at the back. But yeah, I think she's doing a little more work than she thought she was gonna. Does anyone have questions for me though? I know this is kind of hard since people are raising their hands, so that's gonna, just shout your questions.
Questions for our speaker?
I was gonna say, I can't tell if anyone has a question or not. Like, I don't know if you're waiting on a form or if you have a question. Okay. So raise the hands high if you have, or if you need a form. Okay. So I think we got all those passed out. That's all I really wanted to say. And then I just want to say thank you for taking your time. But yeah, I'll be over there if you have any questions, and I'll stay till the end if you have any other questions. But be sure to use your Manhattan local address. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless. But yeah, anyway, I'll be over there at the end.
Thanks for coming tonight. Now we're ready, or actually, are there any final first open period speakers? Seeing none, now we're ready for approval of the minutes. Is there a motion? Intern Witzke. It is moved and seconded to approve the minutes. If there's no objections, the minutes will be approved. With that, we'll move into announcements. The announcements are included on the second page of the agenda. Just a quick reminder, we are taking our SGA picture with the Royal Purple next week at Senate at 6:30. So please try to be in Wildcat Chamber by 6:20 so we can get organized for that picture. Also, if you're interested in serving as the Elections Commissioner, that application is now live and will be open until Friday at midnight. There's the link included in the agenda. Also, if you're interested in serving on one of our short-term allocations committees, such as ACT, SCTE, or the Sports Club Allocation Committee, there's a link in the agenda to apply to be a part of that. Proxies this week, Orth for Kidd, Jewel from McIntyre, and SGA Member of the Week this week goes to Cynthia Karanja for diving into her SGA involvement, including being involved with changes to Bill 8 and volunteering to serve on the Special Committee for Membership. Let's give her a round of applause. Also, a couple things on the upcoming events calendar to draw your attention to. The Special Committee on Membership is having their first meeting on Sunday at 2 p.m. The Board of Regents will be here Tuesday and Thursday. And also, all of next week is homecoming. Our quote this week comes from John Cotter at the Harvard Business School. He says, "Leadership, a process that helps direct and mobilize people rather than a group of people in formal positions where leadership is expected. The latter subtly suggests that everyone in a leadership position provides leadership." With that, we will move into commendations. Is there a motion for Resolution 27? Chair Orth.
I move Resolution 27.
It is moved and seconded to consider Resolution 27. Would the author please come forward?
Resolution 171827, the commendation of the Kansas State University Food Pantry Coordinator, Aaron Bishop. This is by Annie Jewell, Hannah Markle, Adam Houghton, Alex Hornug, Ollie Carmali, Becca Dahl, Benjamin Routh, Brock Putnam, Carson Chumlin, Cynthia Karanja, Emily Meinhardt, Aaron Kellerman, Aaron McAdam, Grace Wheeler, Jonathan Rodriguez, Julia Petcher, Katie Horton, Kirby McCandless, Kristen Schau, Lesky Hoskinson, Maggie Malmberg, Mariana Cruz, Mason Witzke, Matt Zeich, Mikey Severino, Natalie Jabin, Nathan Bothwell, Nathan King, Nicholas Keckley, Sahiba Grover, Sarah Gammon, Sarah Pelton, Shelby Carpenter, and Tel Whitmer. Basically the intern class. Whereas in the Campus Climate Assessment Project, 39.4% of the students who reported financial hardship indicated that they had difficulty affording food. Whereas the Office of Student Life, Student Governing Association, Sarah Barrett, financial donors, and many others saw the need for a larger, more accessible, and properly stocked on-campus food pantry and began to secure space, apply for grants, and prepare to hire a full-time coordinator. Whereas Aaron Bishop was named Food Pantry Coordinator and successfully opened the doors to the Cat's Cupboard, continued to secure donations, renovate the pantry space, hire a graduate student assistant, coordinate fundraisers, and secure volunteers. Whereas the mission of the Cat's Cupboard is to provide access to nutritious food and support through initiatives that promote community health, success, and well-being. And whereas Cat's Cupboard is now an operational food pantry for all students at Kansas State University, regardless of their demonstrated financial need. Be it resolved that Section 1, the Kansas State University Student Governing Association commends Aaron Bishop for being named the Permanent Food Pantry Coordinator on her work establishing Cat's Cupboard and increasing food security among students in her continued work to grow and stock the food pantry. And Section 2, upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the student body president, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to the University President Richard B. Myers, Vice President for Student Life and Dean of Students Pat Bosco, Clery Act Federal Compliance Coordinator Sarah Barrett, President and CEO of the Kansas State University Foundation Greg Willems, and Food Pantry Coordinator Aaron Bishop.
Are there any corrections on Resolution 27? Senator Tuttle.
Okay, yeah.
Awesome. Further corrections? Chair Bickerud?
What was the last correction?
Adding another I to university on line 1.
On line 38, Richard Myers is spelled without the second E.
Oh, yep. Yep. The first E will be taken out. Further corrections? Any questions for the author? If not, first right to debate.
So a few weeks ago, one of our intern assignments was that like we split into a bunch of different groups and had to create pieces of legislation. Two groups kind of came up with the same idea, so Annie and Hannah kind of merged those two pieces of legislation together. So this is like the intern's first piece of legislation. So yeah.
Awesome. Are there any questions on the speaker's debate? Seeing none, is there any further debate? If there's no further debate, is there a motion to approve? Chair Nordstrom. It is moved and seconded to approve this resolution unanimously. If there are no objections, this resolution will be approved unanimously. Let's give the intern class a round of applause. With that, we'll move into approval of appointments. Is there anybody here tonight that has not been sworn in? All right, come on down. We'll get that done. Raise your right hand and say I do at the end. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of Student Senate Intern, right? Intern. Awesome. And will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association. Awesome. With that, name, major, hometown, and favorite smell.
Okay, my name is Lexi Hoskinson. My hometown is Hayden, Kansas. My major is chemical engineering, and my favorite smell would be freshly mowed grass on the radiator.
Awesome. There we go. Next, we will move into committee reports. Committee reports have been included with the agenda. Are there any questions on the submitted committee reports? Are there any committee chairs that have anything additional to report? Seeing none, we'll move into director's reports. Right below committee reports are director's reports. Are there any questions on any of the director's reports included in the agenda? Seeing none, are there any directors who would like to make a report? President Ayers.
We'll do better next week, and I'll get that in the on the agenda. I apologize. So we just have a couple quick things. First of which, I want to thank Maddie for coming in, talking about voter registration. That is incredibly important, and I was going to give a little context to a comment she made about some members of the city commission being really eager to work with the university and some members not being too eager to work with the university. I was talking to a current city commissioner who's up for re-election who I was told about the food pantry and how exciting that was, and he said that wasn't necessary and was a waste of money. So for context, it might be important to maybe not vote for that person named Wynn Butler. So let me know if you have any questions about that. Live stream, gotta love it. Number two, I was going to give you a little update on the Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Committee, something that we had that was put into legislation last year, which is to codify what was created, Diversity 2025 Working Group. So that group had their first meeting last Saturday, and will have their, or last Sunday, have their next meeting this coming Sunday. One of the things we're working on right now is looking over the letter that was sent to President Myers in April, which talked about the list of priorities from the Diversity 2025 Working Group, and we'll be going over that letter and have been doing a status check on some of the projects and initiatives that we discussed, looking to move forward with those initiatives and projects, and ultimately I think it will be a good discussion on Sunday to see what direction we want to take that this year. I appreciate all the work that is being done on that committee right now. Some really strong SGA leadership, as well as leadership from across our multicultural student organizations on campus. We had our first meeting of the Town and Gown Task Force on Alcohol Abuse Prevention. It's a wonderful acronym. I don't know what it is, but that was a good group of our city and community that came together, and I think that'll be a really good thing that will develop over the year as we try to work on some different things, working with bar owners to try to make Aggieville, amongst other establishments that involve alcohol, safe in the Manhattan community. Finally, I'd end with saying that there was a really, I think, positive meeting in regards to advising technology. It's something we've been discussing all year, it seems like, and in relation to advising. And I'll keep everybody updated, but I think there's some early, I don't know, some precursor, I guess, to what should be like a one-stop shop portal for academic advising, which would be able to link you to everything on campus. So like I said, I'll kind of keep everybody updated as we move forward on that, but I'm really excited following that meeting to see where we can go with that and see if we can't make advising more accessible and make that just an easier and more streamlined process for students in any major. So with that, any questions?
Questions for President Ayers? Seeing none, thank you.
Thanks.
SGA Treasurer Pushin.
All right, so I just want to call your attention to announcement number 3, short-term allocations committees. So we have 3 committees that are going to be happening this spring, and the first one's going to be the Student Center Tuition Enhancements Committee. I guess it's going to start. We'll have one meeting this fall, and we should get into it just right once school gets back from Christmas break. Then we'll have the Academic Competitions Team Committee, which is going to start end of February. We'll meet until basically before, our last meeting should be the week before spring break. And then the Sports Clubs Allocations Committee will happen after spring break sometime. These shouldn't require too much involvement. I'm going to guess probably four to five meetings apiece. I do have a form on OrgSync you can apply for. Apply for these committees. It's just real quick. It's got which committees you're interested in. It's got one text box on there just to why you're interested. I need a bunch of people for these committees, so if you guys could apply, and also encourage your friends to apply. I need senators and I need at-large members for these committees.
Questions for SGA Treasurer Pushin? Seeing none, are there further director's reports? Director Abidaban.
All right, so I'm back. Like I mentioned before, we have DACA letter writing happening in the month of October, and it's like we've had 2 tables so far. We have 2 more coming up. I brought letters that I'm going to pass out, and all of you have been sitting in, have listened to people talk about DACA, so you have something to write about, and I really, really want to encourage you all to write something, small note. It doesn't have to be extensive. But we're going to send these to legislators, our elected officials. So if you don't have a specific person you want to write to, just say, dear elected official, and then sign your name at the bottom and write your address so they could respond to you. So I'm going to pass those around and pass out flyers, and then at the end collect them. The goal is to get as many letters written so we can send out as much as we can and make a huge impact. And then another thing is we've been working with student outreach to develop a workshop for all student organizations that works more on SGA, on leadership, and just navigating the new system from DSO and ISO. So if you are part of an organization, please tell your president to fill that survey out. It's gone out to all presidents of organizations, just so we can develop that workshop as best we can. All right. Questions?
Any questions? All right, seeing none. With that, when you get those the letters done, please feel free to leave them at the end of Senate by one of the exits, and we'll make sure they get picked up and distributed. So, are there any further director's reports? Former Elections Commissioner Andres.
Kind of has a bad rap. It has a bad reputation, and I know that, and so do most of you in this room. But it's really beneficial, and it's really, honestly, I learned so much. I learned more about SGA than I could have ever imagined through that process, and I got really close with both sides, and it was awesome, especially last year in my situation where I was really good friends with multiple people that were running in positions that I just didn't feel like I could pick, and so for me it was really nice because I kind of got to take that step back and support them both without supporting them both, if that makes sense. The rules and regulations are super important, but it's so much more than that. You're not just getting everybody in trouble. You're not just watching over everybody like a babysitter. You really are like getting to know so many different people. I would have never met a lot of the people that ran last year from that situation. And I just got to kind of hear a lot about what needs to be fixed and what needs to be changed. And one of the good things too is like last year I didn't have anybody here to kind of transition me because Logan had gone. And so it was just kind of me diving in and hoping for the best, but I will be here to kind of help you too, so that's going to be good and we can really take some steps forward. But I really encourage you to apply. It's a great position. If you're not planning on running for any other positions, then this is something that I think you all should do. I don't know, is there anything else you want me to say?
I think that's great. Any questions for the former elections commissioner? If not, are there any further director's reports? Seeing none, our next item of business is final action. Will the author of Bill 4 please come forward? Sorry. Have there been any corrections made?
Yes. For line 9, transgender non-binary were added, and for line 48, March 15th, 2017 was changed to March 15th, 2018.
Are there any questions on the corrections? Seeing none, first right to debate.
All right. The special committee's purpose is clear. The purpose is to create a more inclusive and diverse student senate that accurately represents the diverse student population on campus. Inclusivity is vital to the success of any governing body. It is important to review the issues and diversities represented in Student Government Association and critically think about new ways to include more diverse collective group of students on campus. Student Government Association has taken first steps towards reaching out to more diverse communities. However, there's still a long way to go. Let's have a conversation about it. We invite you to come and share in the dialogue of the committee. If you're passionate about these issues, you're more than welcome to be there. This is the place for you. While some may argue that the intern program is a way to reach more inclusive student government, it struggles to be equitable in marketing to different groups of students who may be interested in student government. Many students have expressed frustration with the lack of knowledge in the application process when it even begins. Expanding information about the intern program is one step, but another should also be the different positions that students are able to run for in government and how they can be involved beyond exclusively running for a seat in Senate. There are individuals in this room and throughout campus who are not currently involved in student government but are interested, and one way that the special committee can help with that is maybe developing a fellowship program.
Are there any questions for the for intern Karanja? Seeing none, is there any debate in the negative? Is there any further debate in the positive? Any further debate at all? Seeing none, we will move into a roll call vote.
Andres?
Yes.
Archer?
Yes.
Arnaldi?
Yes.
Bergston?
Yes.
Bogner?
Yes.
Bowler?
Yes.
Bickerud?
Yes.
De Moranville?
Yes.
Dahl?
Yes.
Eberhardy? Elliott? Flores?
Yes.
Fuller?
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Garrity?
Yes.
Grandy?
Yes.
Hendrickson. Hyen. Hughes. Jackson. Jewell. Kallenberger. Kelly. Kidd. Klein. Lonker. Maples. Markle. Martin. McDermott. McIntyre. Mertens. Meyer. Mindrup. Nichols. Niedery. Nordstrom. Ogren. Orth. Oxler. Penny. Papoon. Pitts. Pruitt. Rostenpour. Swanson. Tidrow. Thomas. Tuttle. Valdez. Wishop. Works. Zwick. Adams, I'm sorry I skipped you. Awesome. Akers. Okay, I don't know.
Must have skipped the whole top piece.
Albers.
Was there anybody else that we forgot? Yes, Kafara. Yes, awesome. Tinez, awesome. We'll get this updated, I promise.
It's 4900.
Did you vote? Yes, awesome. Awesome. Will the author of Bill 5 please come forward?
Passes 4900.
Oh, passes 49-0. Yeah, if there's a motion. Chair Niedery. It's moved and seconded to bulk roll call bills 5 through 7. Is there any debate? Seeing none, all those in favor of bulk roll calling bills 5 through 7, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it, and we will bulk roll call those bills. With that, are there any corrections to Bill 5?
All the changes have been made.
Awesome. What are the changes?
So we went through and we added all the dates and the budget numbers that were missing last week. Sarah and Bill worked on that. Again, this is just a bill, or a bill that changes the language from OSAS to Center for Student Involvement that Privilege Fee is pushing through. So, yeah.
Any questions? Seeing none, first right to debate.
So just a language change. We're just getting it. Nothing, no budgetary decisions were made. This was all stuff that was made and approved last year. Just a reminder. So yeah. Let's vote.
Any questions for the speaker? Seeing none, is there any debate in the negative? Any debate in the positive? Any further debate at all? If not, will the author of Bill 6 please come forward?
Okay, sorry, I was cold. All the changes have been made.
What are the changes specifically?
Yeah, so what we did was we took out all the whereas clauses that were about the funding decisions from last year because we didn't make any funding decisions, so that didn't make sense. And then we took out this fiscal year's amounts because those have already been allocated. So these are just the amounts that were talked about last year, decided on last year, but they're for continuing forward.
Any questions on the corrections? Seeing none, first right to debate.
Just language change.
Are there any questions on the debate? Seeing none, is there any debate in the negative? Debate in the positive? Any further debate at all? If not, will the author of Bill 7 please come forward?
All changes have been made.
What are the changes?
The changes are we took out the one line item that got defunded, and then we did everything else with Sarah and Link on her name. I'm sorry, but yeah, we did the exact same thing that the previous speakers just said. So,
Any questions on the corrections? Seeing none, first right to debate.
yeah, we passed it last year. We should pass it again.
Are there any questions on the speaker's debate? Seeing none, is there any debate in the negative? Debate in the positive? Any debate at all? With that, we'll move into a bulk roll call vote on bills 5 through 7. Yes, sir. With one H. I did notice that. I thought it had been corrected, but that will also get corrected. With that, take it away. Oh.
Adams. Akers. Albers. Andres. Archer. Arnaldi. Bergston. Bogner. Bowler. Bickerood. Cafera. Dinas. DeMaranville. Dahl. Eberhard. Elliott. Flores. Fuller. Garcia. Garrity. Grandy. Hendrickson. Hyen. Hughes. Jackson. Jewell. Kallenberger. Kelly. Kidd. Klein. Lonker. Maples. Markle. Martin. Thank you. McDermott. McIntyre. Nice. Mertens. Meyer. Mindrup. Not here. Nichols. Niedery. Nordstrom. Ogren. Orth. Oxler. Penny. Papoon. Pitts. Pruitt. Rostenpour. Swanson. Tidrow. Thomas. Tuttle. Valdez. Bishop. Works. Zwick. Awesome. Did I miss anybody that time? Great. That passes 49 to 0. All three.
Awesome. Will the author of Bill 8 please come forward? Are there any corrections?
A lot was changed. So just gonna go ahead and read it. So we changed the title of the bill itself. So we changed it to Amendments to Kansas State University Student Governing Association bylaws, adding a gender diversity representative to the Diversity Programming Committee by Tendai Munyani, Eli Archer, Olivia Bowman, Carlos Flores, Haley Hunneman, Cynthia Caranja, Ryan Kelly, and Stephen Kuchia. Whereas according to the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSU SGA Statute 240201D, Diversity Program Committee, DPC, projects are intended to dissuade prejudice and discrimination based on gender, whereas there's no representative for gender diversity on DPC, and whereas the new DPC representative will serve as the gender diversity advocate in the funding process. I won't go ahead and read what's below on the enacted sections, but I'll talk about how we changed on number 2 in the section 1, where it used to be called the Associate Provost for Diversity. With the new person, it's going to be changed to Associate Vice President of Student Life for Diversity and Multicultural Students. And as you see, we also added that the representative will be selected by the Gender and Women's Sexuality Studies Department on number 5. That therefore led us to cross all the numbers and re-change them again. And then also we changed it from ALSAS to Center for Student Involvement on, which became number 10. So those were all the major changes we made.
Are there any questions on the corrections? Senator Kelly.
You mentioned last week that you were going to reach out to the department. Person, did you reach out to?
Yes, we actually had the meeting yesterday, and they were happy with it.
Further questions on the corrections? If not, first right to debate.
So first of all, I do want to thank everybody who did reach out to me after Senate last week to want to change this bill. For a minute when I walked out, I thought this was not going to work, but I'm very grateful, especially the people who have co-authored. They had a major input and helped me redo this. So, however, we do have a few little tweaks that we do need to make. As some of senators from your questions, a few of those that we never got around. So we have some of those meetings next week. So without further ado, I would like to call for a motion that we refer this back to exec and then hopefully have it finalized by next week.
Awesome. It is moved to refer the Bill 8 to exec. Is there a second? It's moved and seconded to refer Bill 8 to the Executive Committee. Is there any debate? Seeing none, all those in favor of referring Bill 8 to the Executive Committee, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, please raise your right hand. With that, the bill will be referred back to the Executive Committee. Thank you. Our next item of business is the minor allocations. Is there a motion to consider the minor allocations? Is there a motion to consider the minor allocations? Chair Orth? It's moved and seconded to consider the minor allocations. The minor allocations this week consist of a request from the College of Agriculture ambassadors to travel to the National FFA Convention on October 24th through the 28th. They requested $800 and were recommended $800. The next minor allocation, Bill 10, is a travel allocation to the Creative Arts Therapy Club, who are traveling to the Creative Arts Therapies Conference in Boston, Massachusetts, October 26th through the 29th. They requested $400 and were recommended $400. Bill 11 is an allocation to the Engineers Without Borders. They're traveling to their Engineers Without Borders conference in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on October 5th through the 18th. They've requested $500 and are recommended $500. The last minor allocation, Bill 12, is from the Kansas State University Army Reserve Officer Training Corps, and they are traveling to the completion of the 10-miler in Washington, D.C., October 5th through the 10th. They requested $800 and were approved for $800. With that, are there any questions on the minor allocations? Chair Nadery.
Okay. On line 10, on the College of Agriculture one, I believe National Future Farmers of America should just be the National FFA.
So line 10? Well, can you say the correction again, please?
National FFA organization. Yeah, sorry, this convention. I didn't see that word. Just National FFA.
National FFA Convention. Got it. Are there any further corrections or questions on any of the minor allocations? Chair Orth?
On Bill 11, line 15, says that they're going from October 5th through 18th. I want to verify that's correct.
I have no idea. That would be a great question for Chair Chumland. Awesome. October 5th through the 8th on Bill 11. Further corrections on the minor allocations? All righty. With that, we will vote on them next week. Our next item of business on the agenda is introduction of legislation. Just a quick note, the authors of Resolution 28 have decided to pull their bill from their resolution from the agenda for revisions. So I'll be seeking a motion for Bill 14. Senator Papoon. It's moved and seconded to consider Bill 14. Will the author please come forward?
All right. It's my first go, so sorry if I mess up. So Bill 171814, it's a on-campus allocation to the Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia. It's by the On-Campus Allocations Committee, whereas the On-Campus Allocations Committee received and reviewed the funding request of Phi Mu Alpha, whereas the Department of Music will be hosting the brass ensemble group Septura Brass for a one-day event on February 2nd, 2018. This event will include master classes for all students, followed by an evening concert. Whereas Septura Brass is a professional brass group with 7 world-class performers from across Europe with degrees from top music schools, with many of the members holding additional symphony orchestra positions. Whereas this event will benefit the Department of Music and the Phi Mu Alpha by providing members, students, and faculty with dedicated teaching and instruction to further their brass instrument fundamentals, as well as further improve their music entrepreneurship and personal instrument skills, whereas the Department of Music specifically requested the help of Phi Mu Alpha in order to raise additional funds to help support the department and the event, whereas Phi Mu Alpha is registered with the Center for Student Involvement as an independent student organization, whereas the funds received from the Kansas State Governing Association will be towards hotel rooms for the 7 members of the Septura Brass, and whereas the funds requested by this group and the funding recommendations made are as follows. Project 1, Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia in the McCain Auditorium, Manhattan, Kansas, February 2nd. And request $1,000, recommendation $1,000. Being enacted that Section 1, Phi Mu Alpha shall be allocated $1,000 for the event described. Section 2, upon passage of this legislation by the Student Senate and signature as student body president, and upon signing of the award agreement by the members of the Phi Mu Alpha required by the university, Phi Mu Alpha shall be awarded and distributed $1,000 from blah, blah, blah for the event.
Corrections on the bill? Are there any questions for the author? Cool. All right. If not, we will vote on this next week. Thank you. Will the author of Bill 15 please come forward? Just kidding. Is there a motion for Bill? Senator Valdez? It's moved and seconded to consider Bill 15. Come on up. Yes, sir. It is moved and seconded to allow the author to summarize. Is there any debate? Seeing none, if there are no objections, the author is allowed to summarize.
So this allocation is for the student chapter of the Veterinary Emergency and Critical Care Society for a vet girl at Kansas State University. So Dr. Justin Lee will come and speak. This is someone that they don't really have. They don't have a criticalist on staff, so this is more experience for the vet team, and it's something that they don't get to have very often. So it's more experience for them. They're requesting $2,000, and we recommended that $2,000 for their speaker.
Are there any corrections to the bill? Any questions for the author? Seeing none, this bill will be referred back to the University Allocations Committee. Is there a motion for Bill 16? Yes. Senator Albers. It's moved and seconded to consider Bill 16. Will the author please come forward? Caucus Leader Rosnapor. It's moved and seconded to allow the author to summarize. If there are no objections, the author will be allowed to summarize.
All right, Bill 16, travel allocation to the American Society of Landscape Architects. They're going to be traveling to Los Angeles, California, October 9th through 23rd for their annual national conference there. This will be a good opportunity for them to meet with industry professionals. And one of the things that they did last year is learn about projects, and faculty members that were attending the conference actually brought back that stuff and is using that stuff that they learned there on campus in their classes. So it's not only just for the club and the members that are going, it's going to be spread throughout anyone in the landscape architect classes. So they requested $1,000, and we recommend the full $1,000 So.
Alrighty. Are there any corrections on the bill? Seeing none, are there any questions for the authors? If not, this bill will be referred to the College Allocations Committee. Is there a motion for Bill 17? Speaker Pro Tempore Magnani. Is moved and seconded to consider Bill 17. Yes. What's your name? Sorry. Intern Putnam. Is moved and seconded to allow the author to summarize. If there are no objections, the author will be allowed to summarize. Will the author of Bill 17 please come forward? Come on up. Yeah, please.
Alrighty, so basically we received a $1,000 request from the investment club here at K-State. They're going to a conference in Chicago, Illinois. They've gone for about 5 years so far, and they bring a lot of knowledge and information from the different executives that they meet back to campus and apply it throughout their classrooms. They also have a textbook written by Pat Dorsey, and they're going to meet with him and kind of talk with him about different investment strategies.
Are there any corrections on Bill 17? Are there any questions for the author? Seeing none, that bill will be referred to the College Allocations Committee. Is there a motion for Bill 18? Speaker Pro Tempore Magnani. It's moved and seconded to consider Bill 18. Will the author please come forward? Intern Bothwell. It's moved and seconded to allow the speaker to summarize. If there are no objections, you are allowed to summarize.
Alrighty, so this is very similar to the last one I just did. This is for Student Finance Association. They're actually going to Dallas, Texas, the 26th through the 28th. And they actually get to meet with executives from Goldman Sachs and Neuberger Berman. It's kind of cool. They actually bring back the knowledge from the trip that they go on, and they actually reformulate the structure of their classes here on campus so that they're learning real-world skills and staying up to date on everything. So they requested $1,000, and we moved to fund them $1,000.
Are there any corrections on Bill 18? Seeing none, are there any questions for the author? Seeing none, this bill will be referred to the College Allocations Committee. Will there be a motion for Bill 19? Senator Papoon. Is moved and seconded to consider Bill 19. Will the author please come forward? Intern Putnam. Is moved and seconded to allow the author to summarize. If there are no objections, the author shall be allowed to summarize.
Alrighty, so this is to Tau Beta Pi, and they requested 1,700, but we recommended 200 because I think there were 2 members going, and our max is $100 per student.
With that, are there any corrections to the bill? Are there any questions for the author? Seeing none, that bill will be referred to the College Allocations Committee. With that, we're moving into second open period. Are there any speakers for second open period? Intern Senator Hughes, my apologies.
So I just wanted to let you guys know on August 30th, there is actually going to be an event in here at 7 o'clock put on by the pre-law ambassadors and the pre-law advisor, Daryl and Arata. It is a panel on rights and liberties. It kind of goes off of what we've been having some issues on campus with. There's actually going to be the executive director of the Kansas ACLU, Michael Kukubik, is going to be one of the panelists. There's also going to be David Rubenstein, who is a professor at Washburn Law, one of the university general counsel attorneys, Cheryl Strecker, and then also a local attorney, Jeremy Platt, is going to be here. And they're going to be talking about hate speech, police interactions, just kind of like your rights and how that relates to the government, what they can and can't do, that kind of thing. So yeah, hope you guys come check that out. That is, again, 7 o'clock in here a week from Monday.
Are there any questions for Senator Hughes?
Yes. October 30th at 7.
Any further questions? Thank you. Further speakers for second open period? Caucus Leader Valdez. Any questions for Caucus Leader Valdez? Seeing none further second open period speakers. Caucus Leader Rostenpour.
And I'm not even talking about a concert this time, so. So Government Relations Committee is doing a form where you can submit questions to people running for office in Manhattan, so like city council and school board. So if you're interested in submitting a question to us to then submit to the candidates, I will be getting out that form to you as recommended by someone who knows how to do that better than I do. But you should just look out for it.
Any questions for Caucus Leader Rostenpour? All right, seeing none, are there further speakers for second open period? Senator Kelly.
I just want to say that the Special Committee on Membership is meeting for the first time this Sunday at 2 p.m. at the CSI conference.
Questions for Senator Kelly? I guess now the newly Chair Kelly. Seeing none, are there further speakers for second open period? If not, we'll move into reference of legislation. Bills 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 17, 18, and 19 will go to the College Allocations Committee. And then bills 14 and 15 will go to the University Allocations Committee. With that, we will move into roll call.
Adams. Akers. Albers. Andres. Archer. Arnaldi. Bergston. Bogner. Bowler. Breen. Bickerud. Cafera. Dianis. Damaranville. Dahl. Elliott. Flores. Fuller. Garcia. Garrity. Grandy. Hendrickson. Hyen. Hughes. Jackson. Jewell. Kallenberger. Kelly. Kidd. Klein. Lonker. Maples. Markle. Martin. McDermott. McIntyre. Mertens. Meyer. Nichols. Neatery. Nordstrom. Ogren. Orth. Oxler. Penny. Papoon. Pitts. Pruitt. Rostenpour. Swanson. Tidrow. Thomas. Tuttle. Valdez. Wishop. Works. Zwick. There are 46 senators for second roll call. And interns, Bothwell. Carpenter. Cruz. Dahl. Gammon. Grover. Hornung. Horton. Hoskinson. Houghton. Jabin. Caccelli. Caramelli. Karanja. Kellerman. King. McAdam. Malmberg. McCandless. Meinhardt. Picard. Pelton. Putnam. Routh. Rodriguez. Savarino. Shao. Chumlin. Wheeler. Whitmer. Witzke. Zodrick. And there are 24 interns present for second roll call.
Alrighty. With that, is there a motion to adjourn? Senator Papoon. It is moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. With that, meeting adjourned.
If everyone could bring me the letters that they wrote up here. Oh, wow, it's wireless. I thought it was wired. If everyone could give me the letters that they wrote up here, that would be awesome. And if you didn't get a letter, they're somewhere. I don't know. Yeah. No. Yes.
I didn't know what the note cards were for. Is that what that was for?
What? Sorry.
Is that what the note card was for?
The note. So you can either write a letter on the note card if you didn't want to be affiliated with SGA. So.
Oh, got it. Okay, where were we supposed to? We were writing a letter in here, or was it?
Yes.
Yes. I think I did this. No, you're right.
Okay, it's fine. So much power.
Yes, ma'am.
In Bill 8, I told them to come to us and ask
Yes, I will.
It just said,
It's like mine.
yeah.
Not 2 H's.
Yes, sir.
Did we catch the votes of Caleb Dunn and Stephen Farrah, his last 2 votes that we took?
Yes.
Awesome.
I added them in
Between the first one and the second one. Great.
so they were this.
If you can send me what you use for roll call files, I will work on getting that all up to date and ready for Caitlin to freely view of your tasks. Add the people who are missing and take out Matt Bender finally.
Yes. Well, most of them that aren't supposed to be like John Lander are like blocked out, but Mendrip is still just hanging out there. And like, No Ho resigned.
Hey, can we have a August 6th?